Are you ready to learn how to successfully onboard your virtual assistant? If this is your first time on my channel, my name is Lian Lai. I run a virtual assistant agency and I post videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home. So make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos. Now, if you've watched the previous video that I've just done on how to hire your virtual assistant and the best practices basically that I've learned in the last 10 years of hiring online, then I want to walk you through hopefully of how to actually successfully onboard your virtual assistant. Now, whether you are still hiring for someone or you've just said yes to someone and you're like, oh crap, I don't know what to do, I'm gonna walk you through step by step on what to expect and what to prepare for your virtual assistant. Now, still based off of the last video, I've talked about the 2XU formula, which is basically our process or delivery way for working with our clients is we focus on three main things. First one is making sure that both our clients and our assistants are working on the right tasks. Two is making sure that they have the right systems. And three, having that right second brain for them for their business. So we'll walk you through what those three would look like when it comes to onboarding your virtual assistant. Now, for the first part on making sure that you guys are working on the right tasks, when preparing with your assistant, you need to have prepared the three main outcomes that they're going to be focused on. So what it means is basically what are the three main outputs or three main numbers that they're going to be responsible for. So as a really good example, it could be that the first one is making sure that you're at inbox 0. So making sure that emails are responded to or delegated or attended to every single day. Your second outcome could also be creating consistent social media posts. And the third outcome could just be making sure that you have weekly syncs with all of your team members. So continuing that connection. So if those three are her or your assistant's main outcomes, it's making sure that that is clearly given to them. Your job now as an employer, as you've hired your first assistant, is to give them clarity. There's a really good book called Who Not How that talks about that exactly, of hiring the right person so the how is basically up to them. They're able to figure out and see how you're currently doing it and then how they can do it themselves because you have hopefully hired the right who. So you have to have the three main outcomes that they are going to be focused on the next 90 days, 6 months, and first year with you. So then they have a map or something to look forward to in your business. Next is you want to start building the monthly key results. So what I mean by this is basically if you've never heard of OKR or objectives and key results, this is the part where month to month, what are the different ways that you know that they're on the right path on those three main objectives? So the three main objectives is basically, the O in OKR, and KR is what are the monthly things that will tell you that your or the assistant is on the right path. So for example, for the first objective of getting you to inbox 0 could be first month is just observing and upgrading the current inbox management system. So if you already have your own and you want them to always clean it up, they have to first observe how you're doing it and then start giving out improvements or suggestions on how to make it better, automations, filters, so on and so forth. The main thing for the key results part is there's a measurable way that you guys know that you are on the right path, and it has to have some point that you can actually measure the endpoint. So it's either you're creating things or upgrading things, or they're able to do a certain output that you know that they are actually doing the responsibilities that you have set beforehand. Next is you want to develop a really good delegation system. Now in 2XU we teach our clients the WOW method. So the WOW method is basically keeping in mind the who. So who is the resources and who is in charge of this. So again, keeping in mind the who not how method as well from that book. So the first part is the who and the resources basically. The second one is the O of the outcome. So hopefully we'll have this already written out. And then the why. Why is this task important? And this is usually the one where a lot of our clients also sometimes forget that we try to remind them of is when you're delegating a task, you need to keep in mind the context of this task. You can't just assume that your assistant will ask you why, because most of the time they're still trying to figure things out. So you have to be the one to be able to give them the context of what it is that they need. So developing a really good delegation system starts with knowing the WOW method and then choosing basically, do you want to delegate things through them through a WhatsApp group chat maybe? Is it through Slack, or is it during a call that you guys have with your assistant. And lastly, on the tasks is you need to start setting your recurring task system. So what this is what are the daily, weekly, monthly things that the EA will need to either right away start tracking and working on, or things that they'll eventually get to as they learn more and more about your business. So it's mapping that out. Again, that's really important because it gives them context and it gives them something to look forward to in the next couple of months. Now, the next part is on the system side. So we call it Bulletproof Systems inside of 2XU because we want to create systems around you and the assistant where even if one or sadly both of you are in non-commission, we can hopefully have someone as a backup using the systems and documented assets and templates that you guys might already have. So what that looks like is first, you need to think of tools onboarding for your assistant. I've talked about this in other videos as well, where you want to look at 4 main tools when it comes to working with your VA. First one is basically a task and project management tracker. So it's a good way for the both of you to be able to know what the other one is looking for or what the other one is looking at or what are their current goals and tasks and things that they are working on. The third one is a really good time tracker. In 2XU, we use Hubstaff so we can see how many hours that they've logged and what they've been working on. And the fourth one is a documentation tool of where will you start storing your starting operating procedures. The next part is making sure that you have your starting operating procedure database and a template that you'll use for it. What I mean by this is you want to start documenting the different processes that you're doing, and of course, especially the processes that your assistant is going to start doing. So to be able to do that, you need to have a database of the list basically of things that you want documented and the template that you might want to use for it. So for example, in 2XU, we have a very simple 4 parts of an SOP. First one is what is it? An introduction. Second is what are the tools or access that's needed. The 3 is just the steps, and the 4 is a video. So that's kind of a very, very quick template that you can use. You can even type it into ChatGPT and it'll create a lot of procedures for you. But the point of this is that you already have this set up for your EA or VA to be able to start going through as well. Next is training your VA with a walkthrough. So walking them through basically through the walkthroughs that you already hopefully have created on how to do the different processes that they'll start taking over for you. So it could be Loom videos or Vidyard videos that you've already created ahead of like, hey, these are different tasks you'll be doing. This is how I've been doing them. Here you go. So then they'll start being trained by your walkthroughs. And lastly, and I know this is a concern for a lot of people, is just password access. I recommend Bitwarden. You do have to upgrade to the paid version to be able to securely share passwords with different people. But honestly, it's a little bit more secure than most other password sharing tools out there. And usually if you are really concerned about sharing passwords, is you can either set up your assistant with their own account, or you can have it where they don't have to see the password that's shared on there. So this is not sponsored at all. I use Bitwarden myself for different parts of my business, so that's why we recommend Bitwarden. And lastly, having your assistant become that second brain of yours. The first thing you want to make sure, and I've talked about this just earlier in the video as well, is you want to start mapping out their first 90 days. What this means is you want to keep in mind that they will be in overload when they first start working with you because they're going to be learning all about your industry, all about how you do certain things. They might already have processes from previous experiences. Yours might be a little bit different. So they're going to be learning and doing at the same time. They're going to be building the car as they're driving it. So you want to map out like, hey, in the first 30 days, I want you to just focus on this one. Okay, you've learned this. Okay, now we're adding, on the 3 main things. Let's say the first month is just on email management. The second month is then social media. The third month is then team communication. The way that you're doing this, you are making sure that there's time for your EA or VA to catch up on how you do things, as well as giving them the breathing space to be able to do more as well in your business. Now, if they're a little bit faster and they pick up things faster, you can then adjust that 90-day plan. But having a plan really just helps versus if you're just trying to figure out what the heck you're doing first with your assistant. Next is, as you guys keep working on, you want to start creating a business mind map for yourself and for your VA. What this is basically just a zoomed out version of what does the business look like or what does the business do. So it's focusing on operations, sales, marketing, and finance, and maybe any other parts of your business that they would need to know or learn how things correlate, just so it's easier for them to look at your business at that zoomed out view. And depending on also the kind of assistant you have, whether it's just a personal assistant or a business assistant, it will be very helpful if they build a preference profile on you. So what that is if they're, for example, taking care of your travel, if they're going to be taking care of certain things in your life, giving them your preferences. Like, when on longer flights, I like the aisle seat. On shorter flights, when just 30 minutes, I like the window seat. So mapping that out with your assistant will make things just faster and easier, rather than them doubting if they're going to make the right decision when it comes to taking care of you. They have a map, they have a preference profile of you, so that they could just create it and build it by themselves. Onboarding an assistant can be very, very scary. So I hope this video helped you when it comes to walking through that whole path. And of course, if you're still debating and thinking about like, hey, when is the right time for me to have an assistant, you guys can go ahead and take the 2-minute readiness assessment from 2XU. I'll put it in the link description below. It's just 2XU.com/scorecard. So you can figure out what part of your business or your life you need a VA in. And of course, if this helped a lot with just gaining some clarity, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there and comment below. What kind of assistant are you onboarding? I would love to know. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home, which you guys can check out those 2 playlists right here and the latest video right here. Hope you guys have an amazing day. Remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!